There we go. That's good. So yeah, I mean, this kind of came about, I don't know, I guess a little bit of random. I told you guys, I've talked to Marty about, like covering, like deciding who to cover and like how to put, things together and stuff. And, I did it by conferences, but the Rochelle coaches reached out. You guys that are joining us, I'll have you introduce yourself in a second, but, and you guys are part of the Interstate 8 conference. So it's hard not to try to interact with you guys. I guess if there's a way that we can kind of tell stories and stuff for Rochelle outside of like a conference storyline or something, maybe it'll be fun. But I'm interested to talk to you guys. One, I have some mutual friends with Nelson, and then Tyler. I've known Tyler for a long time. I've been wondering what he's been up to. Yeah, first, I guess if you guys want to introduce yourself, I know the head wrestling coach is Alfonso, right? And go ahead and just kind of.
Yeah, so I'm Alphonso Vruno. I started my wrestling career as a little Indian in the Sandwich Wrestling Club, and then they discontinued that. So I ended up joining the Martinez Elite program back when Jose Martinez ran that. So I went through that program.
Sorry, let's start with you're the high school coach, right? At Rochelle.
Correct. So I've done that for 6 years now.
Okay.
So I was an assistant under Rich Harvey. I did that for a year. We took fourth place at state, and then I took over that next year, that 18-19 season. And so did that for a couple years. And then when did you join, Nelson?
I think first year was 2020. That was the COVID year where we had the season in the fall or in the spring, and there was only duels. There was no tournament. So, yeah, it's my fourth year here at Rochelle, and yeah, it's been fun.
And then Tyler, when did you join?
Same as Nelson. Nelson's first year is my first year. That spring of that COVID year, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've been doing this together for, can I do math? 3 years?
Four seasons now.
Well, that's good. You guys must have some momentum going into this season.
Yeah, we're super excited. I've gotten to work with these kids, our junior class, which is our core class now for, I don't know, like they were fourth and fifth graders. I have pictures and I'm just like, I can't believe they are the men they are now. And we have good senior leadership too. And it's been unbelievable to see these two guys make as big of an impact on these kids in such a short time. And it's kind of been an awakening as a head coach, because I'm like, man, these are my guys. I've had them since they were little, and to see these guys come in here and have such a huge impact and build such a close relationship with these kids, it's exciting to see, and I'll let them talk more about that.
So going into this year, so you've had a crop of athletes that you've been training for 4 years now. 3 years going into the fourth year or whatever. So Nelson, where were you before that? So how old are you? Because we were talking beforehand about obviously your brother is a wrestler as well. You guys are both from Byron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I graduated in 2014. I wrestled Division III at the University of Wisconsin lacrosse for 4 years. And then once I graduated from there, I coached in Wisconsin for 2 years. At a local Wisconsin school near La Crosse, and then came right down here and accepted a job. So yeah, I've been all over the place. A lot of different wrestling rooms, a lot of different coaches, a lot of different programs I've been a part of, but this has been the one that I've settled down at.
Yeah. And how many of you are teachers inside the building?
Yeah, us two, Coach Vruno and I.
I got you. So Tyler, where do you come into the mix? How did you get involved with this?
Actually, my brother-in-law is real good friends with.
Cut out. There we go.
Did we lose them?
I think they froze. We'll see.
I like it. Young guys getting ready. That's awesome.
Yeah. It seems like they have
They're excited.
Yeah.
I mean, Nelson comes, his dad was Bob, right? But
I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met
You haven't met his dad?
any of.
Oh,
Yeah,
we used to
I
wrestle
was
him.
gone in school.
Yeah, we used to wrestle him in the beginning. It was awesome. He's a great guy. They had a
Yeah.
hell of a program too. Coaches make a
Byron.
difference.
Here we
Yeah.
go. We're back. You guys hear us?
Yep.
Perfect.
But we lost you when Tyler started to speak. So Tyler, how did you get into the mix in Rochelle?
So my brother-in-law is really good friends with Nelson, and Nelson got hired on here at Rochelle, and they just reached out to me and asked me if I was doing anything, because they kind of putting feelers out there, trying to get some guys in the room. And I graduated with a teaching degree and everything like that, but when I got married and moved back here to Illinois, I couldn't spot right away. So I'm an overhead lineman. I'm work distribution lines, power lines. That's what I do for a living. And then when I got my off time, man, I just spent it in the room pretty much all the time. Yeah, man.
That's great. I mean, one, it's hard. It's just hard in general for any, especially younger. I don't know, Marty. You obviously, like, it's just hard to stop wrestling.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it. It's always nice to find a wrestling room to be able to compete or practice in or teach something or whatever. So that's cool. Well, Tyler, going into that, you're from Stillman, so just the quickest bio of your high school wrestling.
Yeah, I was I won state my senior year there at Stillman, and I went on and I wrestled 4 years at Coe College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It's Division III, and 2 years at Linn-Mar High School in Iowa, and then back here. I took a hiatus from wrestling for a little bit. Didn't know when I was going to get back into it. These guys reached out to me, and yeah, so now back on the mat quite a bit for 4 years now, and it's hard to turn it off once you turn it back on, you know.
Yeah, no, it is difficult. I think there was only about a year where I turned it off, and then I kind of came back. But Nelson, you're from Byron, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Is your dad Bob?
My dad is Bob. Yep. You bet.
You know what? I'm Marty Kaiser. I used to coach at Hononegah High School.
Yep.
And
your
dad was a great. Your dad was, what's that?
Who you are?
Your dad.
We invited them on, Marty.
Your dad was a great man. They used to, when we were absolutely horrible, he would wrestle us. So it was awesome.
That's
and
cool.
I saw your dad at the world's largest truck stop in Walcott, Iowa, about a year ago too. It was awesome.
That's not surprising at all. He's all over the place.
Yeah, he was going. We were going out to the World Cup.
Yep.
Last year in December, my wife and I were going out there. I'm originally from Iowa, so
cool.
Yeah, and that makes sense, seeing how that's like the only gas station in Iowa, right?
Yeah, but basically.
Yeah,
they got some pretty good wrestling too, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. So, Alphonso, you're from Sandwich. That's down south. So you guys aren't, south. They're in the Kishwaukee River Conference.
Yeah, we were originally in the Interstate 8 conference.
Right? Yeah, with the DeKalb and that.
Well, that's all switched, Marty. So that's one of the things about the conferences. So the DeKalb went to Neuqua Valley or Naperville or something like that. Which one was it?
Yep. The name of it, but yeah, they went with St. Charles East and Neuqua Valley and all those guys.
Yeah, Rochelle. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Rochelle kind of stayed 8 conference, so I was super excited to get to wrestle my when we got there. But yeah, Sandwich was a part of that original Interstate 8.
Yeah. So just curious about like the conference in general. So you guys duel everyone in the conference. Is there a conference tournament?
Yeah, we had a conference tournament last year, but this year we went down to 6 teams, so we decided to get rid of that.
Oh, really? So who was there last year?
Yeah, it was Rochelle, Sycamore, Caneland, Ottawa, LaSalle, Peru, Plano, Sandwich, And then and Rochelle. Yeah. So 8. And now we lost Sandwich and Plano. So now I guess we're the Interstate 6.
It's so funny.
It's rough. It's rough.
The name didn't change, but there's only 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I would assume that, I mean, you guys aren't changing conferences because of the same reasons as the college guys are changing conferences.
Yeah, for real.
I do wonder, Marty, it just must be scheduling, like reasons why people switch conferences at the high school or what?
Football
Yeah.
drives that. But go ahead,
Is that
Mark.
what it is? Yeah.
Enrollment too. I mean, I don't know, Marty, do you have any more insight on why people are changing conferences so much?
No, it's totally run by football. And I mean, in our conference, our high school football team's like the powerhouse, but we have nowhere to go. Basically, I mean, nobody invited us, and I mean, there was talk about going over to like the Crystal Lake area and stuff like that, but never happened. So the beauty of wrestling, though, it doesn't matter what your conference is because you can go out and wrestle all the best teams in the state.
Yeah, wrestling is obviously works out perfect because
Yeah.
conferences play little roles, but they obviously play like a foundation for your schedule and stuff like that. Well, so tell us a little bit about this year. I know you said that this is your first year, or not the first year, but you have a group of athletes that are juniors and seniors now. How many seniors do you have returning? And how many maybe did you lose from last year, and what young freshmen you have?
We didn't lose anyone from our varsity lineup last year, so that's super exciting. We'll have two seniors on the team coming back, and then several juniors who were sophomore starters. So we were a super young team, and now we're kind of growing into that. So that's what's exciting as a head coach, but also nerve-wracking because now we don't get to make that excuse that we're a young team. Now we've kind of like grown into that. We're upperclassmen. So now it's kind of time to take all that promises or all that foresight and paint the picture. So we're super excited to see what the kids can do this year. I don't know if you guys want to talk more to that point.
And well, just give us who were the state I know you had a state qualifier. Because I remember I was recording some of the matches down there. And I think it's the family, right? So remind me.
Yeah, Coach Vruno was a lot more diplomatic and nice and political than I would be. We are really excited for this year. I know we've been listening to your guys' podcasts, and one of the things that you guys said was that it doesn't really seem like a lot of these programs necessarily like want to win. Sometimes we just want to participate. We are really excited for this group. I mean, we've gone in the last 4 years from having 12 guys on the team to this year we've got 65, and we've got 6 returning state qualifiers, none of which graduated last year. I'm sorry, 7, 8. Coach Bruno says, 8 guys on our team who have qualified for state within the last 2 years. And it has just exploded in Rochelle. We've gone from like a little niche program to wrestling is the cool thing to do here. And I mean, we could not be more excited. And honestly, if we were to talk about particular athletes, I think each of us probably could pick 3 or 4 that we could talk about. But, and then there would be kids on our team that get pissed off because they're going to listen and they feel like they're left out. But, I think we could each pick one to talk about. But the one that I'll talk about is Tommy Trudeau. He's one of our seniors who's going to be probably a 120 pounder this year. He was a state qualifier last year. He won a match downstate, but has indicated that he wants to wrestle in college, has been recruited pretty hard by quite a few Division III teams, and wrestled at Fargo, won, I think, 3 matches down at Fargo and Greco-Roman, and just could not be more excited for where this team is going to go. And then I'll hand it off to you guys.
Tyler, who are you working with? Who's somebody that you get to, put your hands on? Wrestle.
Most of the time it's Caden Morris. He was 220 last year, and then
I know Caden.
Yeah, and then Brock Metzger, who was 182 last year. Those are my 2 guys that I worked out with quite a bit, just because I take the big guys down,
Yeah.
But Yeah, no, they're both, both were a match from placing last year. Year before that, they're both a match from going. So, it's time to, you know, Caden's got 2 years left, but for Brock, in particular, this is last year. Time flies with these guys, so they don't understand it till it gets there. You know what I mean? It's the one thing you can't get back is time, and they they're they're I will say this across the board with a lot of the kids in the room, man. They want to work. You get these texts in the off season to, hey, when we lifting weights, hey, when we getting on the mat, hey, when we doing this, how do you deny? You can't find those kids. It's hard to find those kids anymore, So no, it's exciting. It's just fun stuff.
Yeah. That's good that you guys got them. Alphonso, so what's it been like to, we talk a lot about the role of a high school, like a head coach, and putting people in positions to kind of because as a head coach, you're a manager as much as you get to get into the trenches. So how has it been to have assets like these guys to deploy on practices and stuff like that?
It's the best. That's one thing I foresaw as being a head coach. You're going to hear these guys talk maybe even more than I know I'm the head coach, but I tell my guys, I'm like, you are just as much a part of this as I am. Like, they're in the trenches, they're working with kids every day. I foresee my job as the head coach to oversee everything, the whole program. So I try and take on a lot of the administrative work and the day-to-day practice planning and working with every single kid to make them feel as much a part of the team as our, returning state finalists. And so I see that as a big reason why there's 62 guys on the team. But if you're asking me, why do we have 8 returning state qualifiers? Why are our kids wanting to get into the room? That's all these guys. I mean, these guys are doing that grunt work. They're in there. They're working with these kids. They're building those close relationships. And I try and do as much as I can. And I have my own guys on the team, but that's how I foresee my job. My job, like you said, leading the Army. So I have to take a step back a lot of that times and oversee all of these things. And so it's awesome to see these guys get in there and truly have a lot of success. They're a big reason for that.
Cool. Marty, you have any questions?
Do. Yeah, it's kind of ironic. It reminds me back when I was young. But you guys are talking about individuals, but you don't just have aspiration for individuals. You have aspirations for a team this year, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. And that's what that's why I try and take that step back. Every kid needs to feel special and the next person up, right? You never know who needs to step on the mat and wrestle. And I'm
talking about a state team title. I mean, that's a goal, correct?
I think that's 28-1 last year. And so that's what I see my job as. And so my assistant coach really hone in.
Did you guys make it to state last year as a team? Just so you know, there is no better feeling than going to state as a team. It's awesome having state champs and stuff like that, but going to state as a team is one of the greatest feelings there ever is.
Yeah,
it sounds like you guys are on your way.
We're hoping so. We were 28-1 last year, like we said, and we lost a duel to Mount Prospect. That was our only loss on our dual season. And then we lost regionals to a tough Crystal Lake Central team, who, in my opinion, was probably a top 3 or 4 team in the state. And then they drew Washington at team sectional. So, we live in an area where, I think our method as to getting the best team results is pushing our individuals. And if every individual wrestles to their capability, then the team stuff is going to fall in line. But, at the end of the day, we're in an area where, every year we're going to have, a tough regional, whether we're dealing with Crystal Lake Central or if we're dealing with Rock Island or Geneseo or a tough Rockford East team or somebody like that. You could win that and come out of the grinder and you got a 50-50 shot at wrestling a Washington, So I think our mindset is more just, giving up control and working on individuals and, if that's going to happen, then it's going to happen.
I got another question for you too. They're all local kids, aren't they?
Yes.
Oh,
100%, right?
Homegrown.
Yeah, that's what Hadaniga was. That's awesome. I'm gonna definitely follow you guys this year.
Well, we appreciate that. And one thing too, that I was listening to the podcast earlier today, I was listening, and you guys had said, you might want to get around and get in some practice rooms. It would be awesome if you guys wanted to come in and sit in on some practices and just
we'd love it.
Where our guys are going. I mean, like I said, we got, I don't know what the number is right now, 62, 65 people signed up. I mean, it is a meat grinder, and half of those kids are guys that are ripping and ready to go to the state tournament. And half of those kids are, kids who have just seen that wrestling is starting to be cool in Rochelle and they want a piece of it. So it's going to be a pretty interesting environment this year.
That's great. And so the season starts in November 11th, right?
November 6th is the official first.
Okay. Yeah, November 6th. I had that written down somewhere. Yeah, so not too far away, huh? Is football going to be in the way? Are you guys still competing in playoffs and stuff?
Hopefully it's in the way. We're rooting for the home team too. They went 7-2 this year. They 7-2 and they don't even get to draw a home game. They got to go to Wheaton St. Francis this Friday. Tough team. They drew a 9 seed in 5A. But yeah, man. Yeah, well, hopefully we lose them for a few weeks. I mean, unselfishly. Selfishly, you want them in there, but a lot of our dudes play football and they love it. So
yeah,
can't take that away from them.
That's what you got to have. You got to have a football coach behind you, and if you do, that's how you breed wrestlers.
Well, especially it helps if they're a good football team too, because you have good athletes and you have a good base to pull from. Anyways, I think we've talked about it. Wrestling is slow. There's going to be a wave, and I don't know. It could be this year. It could be next year. That there could be 30 extra walk-ins. Right, kids that have never wrestled a day in their life. They might start walking in there. I think there's a. I don't want to. I don't know. There's a momentum that it feels like at some point. I think it's no longer wrestling the sport that it was maybe 10, 15 years ago, or obviously in way past. But whether I don't know. Obviously, like I said, I bring it up a lot, but MMA helps a lot with just knowing that so many of the world champions are wrestlers at their core. And Dana White just said it the other day. He was talking about someone actually from Dagestan. He said, I don't know how he's from Dagestan and his wrestling defense is that bad, or his takedown defense is that bad. And he said, if you don't learn how to wrestle, you're going to lose in this business. So just that component being such a conversation piece, I think there's going to be, we might lose a whole bunch of kids to the chaos of youth wrestling, but I think there's going to be 30, kids that just walk in that have never wrestled before and say, let's try it out. So if you have a good group of athletes that are on the football team, that's going to increase the likelihood, because if you have 10 guys that are really good at football and wrestling, it's a lot easier to get the other 10 that have never wrestled before in their life. So it's definitely an advantage especially to have good ones, right? You can have people on the football team, but you want the starters, you want people who are competitive and passionate and leaders that can say, hey, you should come wrestle to their teammates, because obviously coaches can go all day and say, hey, you should wrestle, but teammates are the ones that really, fill the room, I think. But
absolutely.
Yeah, so season's going to look good. Season's coming here soon. Do you guys have any other ideas that you wanted to bounce off?
I think we would be doing a misservice if we didn't give a shout out to our club. Our club is something that fuels our program. I think we're anticipating having somewhere between 85 and 90 kids in the club this year. And we've got super, super high quality coaches that are going all over, not only the state, but all over the country. I mean, we had club coaches going out to Salt Lake City, Utah, for kids nationals this past summer. But, just some names to throw out there, Brian Andronic and Noah Millard and Jake Good and a whole bunch of guys that, might not have a whole lot of maybe publicity or, you know, giant faces that are posted on billboards, but man, they are at 2 tournaments every weekend from, you know, December to March and even into late July. I mean, they're all over the place, and they have really been what has sparked the interest in Rochelle wrestling. Is just they're out there doing pop-ups. They bring the wrestling mats to outdoor events. They've been bringing tents and TVs with wrestling highlights and, you know, club signups and mats to like flag football games. I mean, they just are marketing wrestling like I have to imagine no other club in the country is marketing wrestling. So they're something that is invaluable to our success.
Match up as many as we can.
Yeah, that's been our kind of joke as we have a huge group chat, and we just talked about today, we had someone who was interested in helping out, and we were like, man, how long is it going to take before we trap this person in our group chat? You know, we found a group of guys who are really passionate about wrestling, and I think if you're a young aspiring coach, you can go out there and create that, or you can go out there and find people like you, people who care about wrestling, care about kids, and that's what it takes to build a good program. So like Nelson said, we were able to find some guys who maybe don't have the big names, but they love wrestling. They're passionate about wrestling, and they're putting the time in. And that's enabled us to really build the club back up here in Rochelle. And it's helped us really create something special at the high school level.
Yeah. How many kids did you say were in the club this year?
I mean, we're not starting for about another month. I think right now we've got about 65 or 70 signed up, and I think we're anticipating hitting about 85 or 90. And is
that like a high of high? Is that the highest it's ever been?
Or? Yeah, I think it was up close to those numbers before COVID, and then COVID just devastated everything. I think the club didn't even exist for like a year. We had 12 kids on the high school team. I mean, they were literally like less than 15 wrestlers in the city of Rochelle. But yeah, I mean, it was tough. But we got young guys that are excited about coaching, and kids really connect with that. And, you know, and I think, you know, 85 or 90 is something that we shoot for. And what we've done is we've broken up, and it's not a unique idea, but we've broken up the club practices into the white group and the purple group. So on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, our more advanced kids go. And they've got other things to do. They've got wrestling at the middle school. They've got other teams that they're a part of. But then our white group are maybe like the 7 and under, or, you know, maybe even a little bit older, who are brand new to wrestling. And it's just glorified tumbling practice. You know, you work body awareness, you get them to do cartwheels and, you know, handsprings, and you play games. And then at the end of the day, they go home and they're smiling, and they tell their parents how much they love wrestling, and they didn't even learn a wrestling move, you know, but we're trying to outmarket everybody. And you know, maybe I shouldn't have said that, because I got a lot of friends that coach other sports in Rochelle, but man, we're trying to get these kids at 5, 6 years old just saying they're wrestlers, even if they're just playing games and ankle tag and learning how to do cartwheels on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you said that, because one of the things that I always think about when it comes to developmental wrestling is how insignificant wrestling moves are at like the very young age, and how if you just ran like a strength and conditioning workout, they would get so much better physically. And then, you know, 5 years from now, you teach them how to wrestle.
Yep.
I think that's the hard part with a lot of traditional clubs that are run by parents and non-wrestlers, or maybe not even run it. They just don't have oversight from people that are aware of wrestling. And then they break down the fireman's carry for 5 hours and stuff like that. And soon you got kids looking in the ceiling and stuff like that. And, you know, really you like you said, you get them running, you clap. You know, I remember, you know, just a couple of years ago, I would love to go into the little kids practice and just tell the little kids their name. Like if you just say their name out loud, way to go, John, whatever. They're like, yeah, he's talking to me, you know? So stuff like that is great. So I'm glad to see that you guys are doing that. So. Cause yeah, that identity thing is you create the identity, and then, you know, soon they'll learn all the other stuff. But once they identify as a wrestler, it's so much easier to keep people in the sport, because I think the reason why it was so easy for myself to get through losses, to get through fear of losing or whatever the obstacle was, it was because I was connected to the sport, and I was a wrestler. You weren't going to take it away from me. I had to figure it out. So that's pretty cool. Marty, you have any last questions for these guys?
No, I'm totally impressed with what they're doing. You guys that's what schools that aren't private, schools that are public schools need to be doing. Everybody says it's so difficult to do something. You know what? It's only difficult because they don't try. You guys are doing, I mean, you remind me of me when I was young. You know, it's just a great thing. You guys, you know what? I hope that you guys have a great year.
We're really happy to hear that. That was one big decision that we kind of talked about as a group of coaches, where we were like, what kind of program, what kind of club, what kind of town do we want to be? Do we want to look outside? Do we want to try and draw people from the outside? And Nelson was the person who convinced me. He's like, nah, man, do we just accept, like, we're Rochelle? We're just gonna help the kids that are in town and make them as good as possible. And whatever the results are, they are what they are. So we've that's our brand. We're trying to bring the kids up who are here in town and make them as good as possible. And it's kind of cool as the head coach to see a lot of kids responding to that.
Right.
It's going to be like a giant snowball. It's going to keep rolling. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch.
We're hoping.
Well, speaking of watching, one of the things that we're going to try to do is figure out, maybe showcase dual meets, right? A dual meet that excites us to want to go watch, and whether we figure out a way to broadcast it or we just do highlights of it and narrate it, or whatever the case may be, we want to do stuff like that. And so thinking about your guys' schedule, what are some big what are some big home dual meets that you guys have that are, exciting and interesting to want to come out and watch?
I hate to take this over because that's something that Nelson does really well. I mean, Nelson is our promoter. He's a big reason why kids flock to the program. But our first home duel against Stillman Valley and Lena Winslow, our town has really gotten excited about the first home wrestling duel. I think there'll be a lot of fans there, and Stillman Valley and Lena Winslow have a good following, and they're traditionally great programs. If you were looking to cover a local duel, I think that one's going to be a great one to come to. It's November 30th at Rochelle. We'll be in the small auxiliary gym, and it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
And one of you make sure to, if you could, through email or whatever, message a schedule, and I'm going to put as many schedules as I can on the website just so people have access to it. One of the funniest things is one of the reasons why I started the website was I was trying to find out a schedule to a local dual meet. I was trying to see when they were going to duel. And I looked at the one school, it wasn't listed on their website. And then I went to the other school and it wasn't listed on. I'm like, how am I supposed to know where a dual meet is if I don't have it listed somewhere where I can go? So make sure you get your schedule to me and I'll put it out. And if people are there, and
absolutely. And if you need purple to wear, we got you. We'll set it up.
I got plenty of purple.
Yeah, I know you do.
I got some purple, some Warhawk stuff.
Hey, man, I'm a lacrosse guy, so that's kind of like.
Well, I am alum of Elmhurst College. So I went to Elmhurst and then I coached at Whitewater. So I didn't wrestle at Whitewater. Yeah.
Are you Bullard, are you at North this year? Are you at Belvedere North this year? You gonna be helping
I'm
out
not
there?
No, I don't want to say fully retired, but sort of. I'm not coaching. I don't have I'm not committing to the schedule and stuff like that.
I get you, man. I thought I heard through the grapevine you were helping out at Belvedere North. So I was
thank goodness not.
Well, I've considered, I wish I could have a volunteer coaching card to any high school. I really don't care where I teach
Come on
wrestling.
in.
It's just,
Always welcome here.
yeah. Well, either way, I've been around Marty a lot, and you know, when you get inside a wrestling room, it doesn't matter what colors the wall is. You start teaching wrestling. It's just something that you do, and so yeah. I mean, I love coaching. I just you know, the coaching schedule is it's a schedule, and you know, I think every person, you'll have time periods in your life that'll switch, and you know, I did it for a little while, and I don't know if I want to do it again, but yeah, so no, I'm bouncing around. I want to spend more effort and energy on the media marketing aspect of the wrestling area. Ironically, you know, again, one of the reasons that I got into this, because you know, as a high school coach, you want to create some sort of conversation around your athletes and your program. And the newspaper oftentimes doesn't create that until the end of the year, when it's already over. You know, oh, Rochelle went to the state tournament. Well, great. But now no one's coming to watch the dual meets because, you know, whatever. So I really wanted to put some effort and energy into, you know, growing the programs in the area, creating more awareness around individual athletes. You know, again, we talk a lot about back in the day and stuff like that, but you know, I went to college with Pat Brownson, who is from Rochelle. So he was an athlete that was really good. I mean, I think he wrestled Grant Miller a few times, to be honest.
Also a beast.
Yeah. So yeah, just trying to resurrect this wrestling community where we know who the athletes are, so we can give these athletes encouragement in the journey towards state championships and elite level wrestling. So I think that's my calling right now. So I'll leave the coaching for you guys.
Yeah, I remember when I was in junior high going to the Hononegin Duel to watch Grant Miller wrestle. That dude, he was tough. He was tough.
Yeah, he knew how to run the legs.
Yeah.
He made kids scream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, he was really athletic and skilled for a heavyweight.
For a big dude.
You wonder back, I mean, think about that. Like he was definitely a unique one. Again, this is another thing we got to go through. We bring up names and we got to go find them and talk to them.
Yeah,
and just,
right.
Old stories and
He's
stuff
an
like that.
I think he's an accountant in Rockford.
Okay.
Seriously, he's an accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get him to check
Yeah,
our books.
I haven't talked to him in years.
What's that?
I haven't talked to him in years. But yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Well, guys, anything else you want to say before you go and
No,
I get off of this?
Thanks for having us. Man.
Yeah, man. I think we're just super grateful to be able to, you know, get our program out on another platform, especially one that you're growing. And man, it's just awesome to see what you're doing.
I definitely believe that we need to meet with you guys again, like a month down the road, and let us know how it's going and stuff like that, because I'm totally impressed with you three. You're making a difference.
Marty, we'll put a schedule together. I know you're going to be traveling here a little bit, but we'll figure out a schedule.
I always got a laptop with me where it's warm.
Well, what I was saying is getting to some of these practices maybe in November before the season really gets underway. What's that?
I said before I leave and go somewhere warm.
Yeah.
Of course, the door is always open.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we'd love it.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
You bet. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.